Facts, no chaser. So this person says, no one says racism doesn't exist. It's institutional racism, hard to prove. It's always the individual. I don't know exactly what you're saying here. I don't know if it's something that you're just being like facetious or if this is your true belief, but I'm just going to address it as it appears, okay? No one says racism doesn't exist. Besides Candace Owens, who said it at CPAC in 2019, her exact words were, racism is over because I've never been a slave. That was her. Larry Elder has said it. Hodge twins have said something to that effect. Usually the Coonville, they usually say it. To appease whom? The only audience that wants to hear that are Republicans and racists. So that's what they are. So when you say that it's not, institutional, then what are they pandering to? If there was no one out there that wanted to listen to that shit or pay to hear that shit coming out of a black mouth, they'd be out of a job. Tell me what other talents they have other than that. Now, we talk about institutional racism is hard to prove. Were you not listening to the video that I posted? I am not the only black person. I'm just giving you examples. Even in the comments, there are many black people who said they have trained white idiots for positions that get paid the same amount as them or more, right? So when you think about that, when you think about, let's say, in my experiences personally, so I don't go off into some deep end hyperbole, I've trained many different races throughout my life as an entrepreneur, but mostly as an engineer in the entertainment industry. And I saw every race come in without any kind of knowledge of what they were doing except for black. Now, they've been experts in other fields. Don't get me wrong. I had an Asian friend that was great at one thing, but when that job ended, they transferred this person into my area. I had to train this person who had no idea what the fuck they were talking about. Never touched a machine, didn't know the simplicities of how television works. And I myself, being a person who's graduated from college, been in all kinds of positions, had to train said idiot. Not only that, a shit ton of white people I had to train who had no fucking clue what a TVC is. Time-based corrector, had no clue. How are you in this industry making $120,000 a year and you have no clue of the basics of television, right? But I never trained a black person that was that stupid, that unaware. So if that's not systemic, what the fuck is it? Just out of nowhere? It's like, oh, just a coincidence. Really? In over 20 years, I never trained a black person that was fucking clueless about the industry at all. But I've trained a shit ton of white and other people of color, depending on who the boss was at the time. We had a Latin boss at one point. Yes, we end up having a shit ton of Latin idiots walking in the door, not knowing, yo, what's that? What the fuck you mean, what's that? How are you making 120 grand a year? You don't even know what the fuck this shit is. And given leeway to fuck up tremendously. When a black person put black on air, it was hell to pay. White person, they were pissed, but it wasn't hell to pay. Latin person, depending on the boss was at the time, it wasn't hell to pay. So yeah, if you don't see systemic racism, it's because you want to be blind. I don't see how you don't think that's a real thing. And hard to prove? How? How is it hard to prove? What's hard is for people to accept that it's real. So you do anything you can to explain away the systemic issues. And the reason why I say this systemic, because it's just not me. Every black person would tell you they've trained a lesser person who wasn't black to do their job. Things that they went to college for, hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt for. and this kid gets out of high school, still living with mom and dad or uncle or cousin, making the same amount of money. If you don't see the systemic issue in that, think about this for a hot second. If I go to college and learn all this stuff, and I'm like by the time I'll spend hundreds of thousands, but I may be like 50 G's in debt when I come out. I get the job that's making like 30, then I move up, and then I'm up to 75. Now I'm at 120. Now I done put in a good 7 to 10 years of that. Done paid most of my college loans by that time. The person coming in at the exact same time as me without any debt has 7 to 10 years of cash flow just for them. And if I've got to train them, that means they've caught up with me and never had to go to college. Barely had to graduate high school. And the position states 3 to 5 years of experience, which I had to have in order to get the job. So if that's not systemic racism, I don't know what the fuck is. Please explain to me what you think is so hard about systemic racism. Yeah, didn't think so. It's very simple. What's hard is for people to accept the fucking truth. And that's what I do. I speak facts. I speak the truth. Straight facts. Fuck your feelings.